Hey guys, today we come to part 2. So that's the fly we tied last time, and today I'll show you how to increase the volume in the body with just applying different materials. So we tie again on a partridge hook, Universal Predator X in 2/0, and we tie with the nano silk thread from Squimpish. Just get a base layer on the hook shank, pretty much the same. Apply a little bit of super glue, and then we, as before, take the bucktail off the tip again, which is not rising that much, for creating a tail. So we just put that on the hook shank, a few loose wraps, make sure it's around the hook shank, and then we just pull it tight. So it's rising a bit, but as I mentioned before in the video, fibers are not that hollow, doesn't rise that much. And now there's a difference. If you want to create volume into the tail section, you can use different materials. One which is quite nice is the Squimpish hair. So let's start with this one. It comes in packs like that. You probably all know it from the videos of Brown. So we just take a small amount and I'll take a cat brush to brush out the underfur, and then I grab the tips like that and align them again, so it's a little bit tapered, but still I have quite a lot of hairs in the short bit. And I cut that in one length, and then I tie it in reverse. So we just lie it before, in front of the first bucktail layer, spin the bobbin counterclockwise so the thread is falling close to our fingers, 2-3 loose wraps, and then just work the material around. With your fingers, and then you can just tighten it by pulling the thread and giving it a bit of pressure, like that. So what do we do now? We take our reverse tool and just reverse the material, and now we have again two possibilities. We can tie on top of it like that, so we create more like a flat tail, keep the volume of the pattern a little bit narrower, or we can just build a cone in front of it and then building up more volume. In the tail, I always prefer less volume, so just tie on top of the Squimpish hair and brush it out a bit. Now you can see we have a really nice tail here, and the hope you can see that the fibers, they are really thin, so we have a really dense layer. And there where we doubled the Squimpish hair, where we tighten the butts, we have a bit of a color, and this gives the beginning here quite a dense form, so we can lie really nicely our flesh on top of it, and it won't fall into the material, but distributes quite nicely in the material. So as flesh, we're just using, I think this is Magnum Flashabou in pearl. If there would be only one flesh you were allowed to buy, I would always go with the pearl colored flesh, as pearl is just blending nicely with every color there is. You can tie pearl in black, you can tie pearl in white, it just works with every color. So if you want to keep it simple, just buy one flesh color, then go for pearl. So we just tie the flesh on top of here, and then reverse the flash fibers that are pointing forward and tie them down again. Always tie down the flash and reverse it then, because it's quite a slippery material and we don't want to get it pulled out. And then we have a nice tail, which is giving us the shape of our baitfish. So this is just as before in the first video. We only added some Squimpish hair and some Flashabou, and now we grab some small amounts of the bucktail of the middle again. Move the thread a bit forward and just tie it down, tighten it, raise the fibers. You can cut this here. Other possibility, if you don't want a big mess, just tie it down like that with some gentle turns, so it will stay a little bit flatter. You can also rise it a bit and get it up a bit again. You can vary that as you want it, and then we can just reverse the fibers here, pull the thread out straight and just build a cone in front of it. Little bit of super glue and the thread down to prevent the thread from sliding down the cone, and then just keep on tying on it to adjust the shape of our bucktail. Now we just repeat the process. We just take a bit of Squimpish hair. Really don't need much shear, just to get the little bit more volume into the fly. And you can do that with Nayat as well. I can show you that later as well. Let's do this step to show you. You can do that with Nayat as well. I'll show you that in a different pattern. And just again, just put it around the hook shank, flare it a bit and tie it down. Take a reverse tool. See, it's hardly any material we're using here. And just make a cone in front of it, so we're getting a little bit more volume now instead of tying on top of it. Like that. A little bit of super glue. It's kind of just a repetition of the first steps. So we just put in some flash again, not much, just 2 strings. Cut it. Tie in the remaining bits. Tie it down. So now we have already a really nice baitfish shape. And now it's just again the last step. We take some bucktail from the bottom part, which is a little bit more hollow. so it will rise a little bit more. And we leave the bot sticking out quite a bit, just to get a little bit more volume in here. Flare out quite a bit, rises really nicely. Just wiggle the thread through it again and then reverse the material. Pull the thread out straight and just pull the cone in front of it to keep the bucktail in position. Our bucktail is already in position, and then we just take our monster dub again, same colors, baitfish belly for the belly and the baitfish grey for the top. Just tie it down. And we take some baitfish grey. Sure you're not using too much material, you don't need much. Brush it a bit. You see already it's nearly enough. So when we reverse that, there's definitely enough. So we apply a little bit of glue of the Minuteman on the thread and just wind it around the hook shank. So our last wraps are glued, everything is secured, and then we can brush our material back. The first fly was around that length because of the limited length of the bucktail. And now with the addition of the Squimpish hair, we have a really nice shape of a baitfish and quite a nice long fly. We can even make it a little bit shorter here. And now we just have to add the eyes. Like that, when the fly is finished. So now, let me show you again, but you can see the difference of the first fly and the second fly. It's just a little bit nicer tapered to the end, and you can just increase the average length of your fly, get a nicer taper in the tail, and of course the fibers are also playing really nicely in the current when you strip it. And these tails you can add some feathers, like these ones for example. So you could add some really thin feathers to the tail, which also move really nicely in the current. You could do the tail with naiad, with some fibers. So there's unlimited possibility of how you do it, but the procedure is kind of staying the same. So enjoy tying.